So first, a quick introduction to Ayehu. So if none of you has seen this platform or this screen before, Ayehu allows you to automate use cases such as password reset, self-provisioning, and of course other use cases that you might think of in a very intuitive way using our workflow designer, which is the crown jewel of our product and allows simplicity in building or designing your use cases without any coding or scripting. And you would do that by dragging, dropping these building blocks or activities that you could see right now in the middle of your screen from the left hand side when you could find the toolbox, which consists out of integrations, connectors, workflow controls, parsers, and so on that will allow you to integrate with any piece of infrastructure, application, or devices within your organization. Now, let's talk a bit about the BMC Remedy integration. The BMC Remedy integration is a bidirectional integration. What does it entail? Meaning, from the one direction, we're able to tap in into your BMC environment and pull tickets or records that are new records or newly updated records from within the environment. So in our case here, for example, we are monitoring the incident table or the incident record type from BMC Remedy every 10 seconds, meaning any new tickets that are being created in that environment are going to be pulled into Ayehu. What does it mean? Once a ticket or a record or any sort of event, whether it's from monitoring tool, ITSM platform, chatbot, and so on, is pulled into the platform, you'll be able to create a trigger that, in case of the condition, if it applies, would trigger, in its case, the appropriate workflow. So, for example, if you would create a ticket in Remedy to onboard a new employee or to perform some change request, Ayehu could pull that ticket and trigger a workflow that would do that particular use case and automate it, of course. So this is from the one direction. From the other direction, Ayeho is able to push um, information into existing tickets or create new tickets or add new work logs into BMC Remedy. One of these would be an example that we'll show you in a bit, but I already have a BMC Remedy create record activity that exists within this particular workflow. And as you can see, we're able to select our module that we are working with. In our case, this is the BMC Remedy instance in our lab environment. We have chosen what type of ticket to create in Remedy. And as you can see, we're able to fill in or fill out any information within this particular ticket, either using static data or dynamic data, since every building block within this workflow is also a runtime variable. So you could see that some of these inputs are encapsulated in percentage characters, and that means that we're referring to the runtime variable. And of course, they could be autofilled when designing the workflow. So again, a recap, BMC Remedy, just like any other integration within our platform, is a bidirectional integration, meaning we are able to pull new tickets or updated tickets, or we could push information or update existing or create new tickets within your environment. Now, the chatbot that we're going to be demonstrating today is going to be Slack. And kind of to talk more about Slack integration briefly, our integration with Slack is again bidirectional. First of all, we're able to pick up any messages that the endpoint user might send to our chatbot, and I will demonstrate it within the demo itself. And of course, we have the ability from within the workflow to push notifications into Slack within the same channel that the user has started chatting with the chatbot. And of course, send messages to channels, create new channels, send messages to groups, and so on. And the final piece would be the piece that Guy has touched upon briefly, which concerned intents and entities. Ayeho has a built-in integration with artificial intelligence services such as Watson Assistant that and Microsoft Lewis, of course. And these services allow us to interpret the intent of the endpoint user and match it as closely as we can to the workflow that exists within Ayeho. Once the match happened, Ayeho would be able to suggest what workflows we should trigger. But more on that in a later webinar. So for now, what I would like to concentrate on is to share my Slack screen with you guys so you could actually see how it will all look like from an endpoint user perspective. So let me just share my screen here. Can everyone see my screen? My Slack screen?
Just Ayehu.
Okay, perfect. So now you'll be able to see the Slack screen. So now if I'll type hello to our chat bot, the chatbot communicates directly with the Ayeho platform, of course, due to our bidirectional integration. And the chatbot could ask the endpoint user and check what self-service requests the endpoint user has authorization or privileges to trigger. In our case, this would be password reset, document access, network and security issue, and provisioning AWS instance, for example. Now, if I'll select password reset, a workflow would be triggered within Ayeho to conduct and automate this process. We then would choose what type of application we'd like to reset our password at. We would perform some type of identity verification, such as this one. And once the platform would cross reference this information with the identity database, the platform would perform password reset, as you could see right here, would supply us with a temporary password, and would open a ticket in Remedy. And of course, add a new work log to it as well. Now, another thing that I would like to show you is that we not only have to be basing the trigger on these buttons right here, we could also, as we said, type a free text to check what's my ticket status. And that's where the integration with artificial intelligence algorithms or services is going to kick in and check the intent. And of course, we could rephrase this intent in a lot of different ways, but you could see that our platform recognizes the intent as to the workflow that provides the status of a ticket. Now here, I'll provide this ticket number that we've just opened. And the platform is going to check within Remedy what's the status of that particular ticket. And you could see that it replied pretty straight away that the incident is currently assigned to the group service desk with a short description of password reset. Now, if I'll go back to my Remedy instance and I would like to check how this incident looks like in here, you could see that these are all values that we've populated within the workflow. As you could see for the password reset process, the user that requests the password reset, the status of it, and of course, the work log as well, which we updated with the execution of our workflow. And same could be done for any other type of request. So if I'll go back to my Slack chatbot, and I'll select a different process, such as provisioning AWS instance. You could see that the bot, via Ayehu, of course, would guide us through how to provision an AWS instance and, of course, what we need in order to provision the AWS instance. Now I'll select the CPU, memory, and OS, and our workflow would match with the best type of instance that we could provision in AWS. Again, once we will provision the AWS instance, we will receive information on the status of our request and, of course, the ticket that was opened. We also provide details to the customer or the endpoint user saying that once the instance will finish initializing, we will update the ticket with the connection details. And another thing, the last thing that I would like to show you is the thing I talked about earlier. So we are listening, and thus far I've only showed you how to create or update tickets within Remedy. But what if we would like to, based on a ticket in Remedy that has been opened, to receive a notification in a specific group chat in Slack or a specific channel? So I've created a workflow that is called BMC notification. And you could see here a trigger that will trigger that workflow. And that trigger reacts on any condition that applies right here. We could take a look at how the condition looks like. So on any incoming ticket from BMC, I would like to trigger this workflow that is called BMC notification. And what this workflow will do is based on any incoming ticket, we'll send it to the appropriate direct channel in Slack. And for this instance, I will open my channel right here. And you could see that since the start of the webinar, I've opened three types of tickets. One of them was the same ticket with updates, of course, and the other one was the provisioning. So you could see the incident number, and you, of course, could customize how it's going to look like and what information the endpoint user could do or would be able to perform once receiving this, whether it's to assigning it, whether it's updating the ticket from Slack itself or from any other chatbot like Microsoft Teams or Connect Now and ServiceNow, and so on. So you could customize any of the content that you have seen, whether it's in Remedy, whether it's on Slack, within the workflow in Ayehu. And that's where the real advantage of Ayehu lies in. And of course, the ability to perform these tasks without any coding or scripting. So if I'll go to the password reset workflow, you could see that we are utilizing the Slack activities that will ask the user, which is any endpoint user that has triggered the action based on his user ID, what he would like to do, whether it's to reset the password in Active Directory, in SAP, Office 365. And then based on his selection, we'll go and perform the action, in this case, in Active Directory, which is the right branch. We'll ask him, of course, to identify himself based on his social security. Then we could cross-reference that information to any attribute within Active Directory or any other table that contains user identification. And then we will simply use activities to create tickets in BMC. We will generate a new password in Ayehu. We will update this password in Active Directory, again, by using our Active Directory activities that are out of the box. And then, of course, we'll open a work log to finish up the request, and we could also close the ticket or perform any other update. So all in all, my goal was to show you guys how you could actually perform all these bidirectional tasks from Slack to Remedy to AI NLU services or to any other infrastructure like Amazon AWS bidirectionally in a very efficient way. And these workflows won't take too long to design. Of course, we will need access to environments such as Slack or Remedy or AWS and so on. But once we establish the connection and the integration is up and running, we'll be able to pull tickets, update tickets, pull different sorts of messages from the chatbots, update the endpoint user, and guide them to the right resolution of their problem, whether it's a technical issue that they could submit, for example, a problem with their Outlook, then the IO automation platform could take action on that type of request as well. And again, this could serve either help desk teams, NOC teams, IT infrastructure teams, and more. So you could really elevate the services that your organization is providing and automate all these actions using the IEO platform, which is a very efficient, intuitive, and easy to use platform that is vendor agnostic and would be able to communicate with any platforms within your organization.